welcome you back to Prep Recruiting Insider from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale, and it's Jesuit Blue Jay Day, the featured team on PRI, as we're joined now by the head coach of the Blue Jays, Mark Songy. And Coach, thank you so much for taking the time out for us.
Great to be here. You always have a good time with you guys, so thanks for having us.
Mark, you're in your second year back again. I know when your first stint, you followed Danny Abramowitz and everything, and we've had you on the show since then, but your first year was a whirlwind tour, state championship. Yeah, kind of tough. You raised the bar pretty high that first year.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was something else. And I did, some of the work, but most of the work was already done before I got there. I can't tell people that enough, that the program was in such great shape when I got there. Looking at the whole situation, I kind of came in with the approach of trying not to screw it up. Let my coaches coach and let the players play, and we did that, and I injected a little bit of my personality, but it wasn't much. We had a really good team, and a great program was being run at the time, and I was real fortunate to get into that position.
And speaking of injecting your personality, now you've had more time to do that, to truly make the program your own the second time around at the school. How has that gone, the comfort level for you taking over and now making the program once more something in your image?
Well, I'll tell you, I'm getting more comfortable every day. It was such a unique circumstance that it was kind of uncomfortable at first, going into a situation where really everything was already in place and the staff was there. But it gets better every day. We've got a great group of kids coming back. Like I said, the program's in really good shape. We go through ups and downs talent-wise, as you guys know. But our kids, something that we can bank on all the time is our kids working really hard and fighting you every snap. And I'm most proud of that. And personality-wise, that's kind of my approach to everything with regard to how we coach and how we approach the game, and that's we're going to fight you on every snap. We're going to hopefully at the end find a way to win, and we've done that more often than not, and I'm real grateful for that.
Mark, you and I go back a ways, and we were talking off the air about your second comeback and how things have changed. There's more media coverage. Yeah. Everybody's in the media now, but what is the most challenging part of being a head coach? Does that help? Does that kind of make things more difficult, or it's more than just the X and O's on the field?
It's a lot of things, and a program like Jesuit, with the size of the school community, with the academic requirements that our kids have over there, it's a special place to work. Media-wise, last year was in 2014 was really, really crowded with media time. We were doing really well. The story of me kind of coming back was something that people wanted to get a hold of and write about and talk about. It's just challenging in so many different ways. We've got a great school community, and we take a lot of pride in our athletics, but we also take a great deal of pride in our academics and all of our extracurriculars, and I think that's what makes Jesuit the place that it is. So we've got a number of kids that are spread out all over the place, playing multiple sports in multiple clubs. We try to make it a full high school experience, and we try to win football games at the same time. So, X's and O's in the Catholic League, you mentioned, that's never a dull moment there. Sometimes you go into a situation where you're trying to outsmart somebody else, and you really end up outsmarting yourself. So I think, the most challenging thing I do, I think, is to, kind of oversee what our coaches do and make sure that we're all headed in the same direction, because I've got a great group of coaches that are very energetic. I've got great experience, and if I kind of cut them loose, they're going to run with it, and that's a great thing, though. It is.
Coaching is a tight-knit family locally, particularly within the Catholic League, and even though you were out of the game for a while, the connections are still there. Yeah. And the challenges of game planning, when everybody knows each other's secrets at this point, you really can't fool people when they know exactly how you're wired and what you like to do. Talk about that experience as you've come back and you realize that everybody knows what you're trying to accomplish at Jesuit, with tradition there, and other schools have their own feel and vibes as well.
There's a joke that we kind of kick around a line that we're all inbred in that Catholic League, because we really all kind of came from the same place, all worked together at one time or another. And you put great players out on the field, you know what you're going to face. You're going to face guys that are trained all year long, that are really paying close attention to what they're doing in the weight room. They've got good players. They're going to be well coached in the fundamentals. And I think something that I was able to do a year ago, coming back after 10 years and knowing these guys, some of them had worked for me in the past, a lot of us had worked together, I was able to kind of shed that light on our staff a little bit as to, hey, this guy likes to normally do this in this kind of situation, or they're going to block a particular play like that, based on how we were all brought up. I think I was able to contribute a little bit there. But it's a challenge, and I wouldn't have it any other way. It's terrific to be in that league, to fight week in and week out with these guys. There's never a dull moment. You know, you can't take anybody for granted, and fundamental-wise and talent-wise, I think it's the best league in the state. You know, the year that we had 2 years ago and getting to the state championship, using that playoff run, seeing Rummel twice, seeing St. Aug twice. You don't like to play those guys once in a year to begin with, but having to face them twice, tough business, and it's a lot of fun, though.
Recruiting show, Mark, how close do you oversee recruiting going on? Because I know there's a lot of entities try to get behind and talk to the players and stuff like that, but how close do you monitor that?
I try to monitor as closely as possible. You know, the last time I was in coaching, no one had a cell phone. But now these college coaches, they all have cell phone numbers for our players, and they're talking. There's a lot of stuff that's going on that I don't really know about. But I try to advise our players as best I can on making a choice or making a decision based on where you want to go to school for the next 4 or 5 years. You know, I try to make sure that they're always thinking about what's going to happen after football is over. You know, if you're going to go to this school or you're going to go far away to school, you know, you can always come home after. But if you're going to go home there, expect it. I mean, go to school at a place kind of far away. You'll probably meet your wife there. You're going to probably set down some roots there, and coming back home may be a little bit of a different story. But I try to give them a little bit of a perspective from I guess a fatherly standpoint, and also from a standpoint of, you know, what I know about that staff there. You know, what kind of treatment those guys are going to get as players. You know, if you're a good player, they're going to find you. So we don't have to sell our players very hard on unless, you know, when the coaches come in, we always give them an honest opinion of what our players are, but they can see that on film, and they talk to a lot of other coaches around and get to know the kids real well. And it's been a pleasant experience, I think, you know, up to this point. Really a lot. You have to educate the parents a lot on the whole process as well.
And that's interesting because you think about the delicate balance a head coach has to deal with each individual and his family. When it comes to recruiting, you want to give the most help that you possibly can, but not cross a line as far as what a personal decision that is.
That's true. You know, I don't ever push kids in a certain direction. What I may do is talk to the parents or the kids about, you know, as far as what I know about that staff, you know, and hey, such a place is kind of a small town. You better be ready to live there for the next 5 years if that's, you know, do your research with regard to that. But I don't try to push them in any different direction. What I try to do is if I see them about to make a mistake or considering a program that may not have their best interest in mind, try to kind of pull back a little bit there and let them know what I know about that program. But I think it's such a personal decision. Because you need to go get a great education. It's a place you're going to have to live for 5 years, and you really need to be happy with that. And you know, once these guys commit, I you know, try to help them with honoring that commitment and moving forward. And hopefully it works out well, and it has for a lot of our kids.
Now, head coach Mark Songy has found happiness again at Jesuit High School. We thank you so much for joining us once again on PRI, and good luck moving forward.
Thanks, Judy. Thank you all for having me.
Prep Recruiting Insider returns in a moment as we meet some of the student athletes from Jesuit High School on the football team and talk about their recruiting experience and more from NOLA Motorsports Park in Avondale.